Hi, this is Eric Vetch from Colorado Springs, and in this session what we're going to do is work on doing a watercolor tree. We're going to use some very old techniques to make this happen, but they look very fresh and new, and they have a lot of personality to them. So let's jump right in. Now, the easy way to get a tree to appear is to start with a round brush. This is a number 6 size brush, it's a small one. And we're going to put a little bit of water down first. Now I'm going to add just a dash of color to my brush so you can see where I'm going with the water. It can be done with water only right off the bat. But the key to success with this is to start with a little bit of water and to push down with the brush at the bottom so it spreads it out and makes a big fat blob of paint and water at the bottom. And as we work our way up, what we're going to do is pull the brush away from the surface, and we're also going to twist it in our fingers just as we go along. So it's pull away and twist, and then just doodle away and just go to the end. So the reason you do that is you want to have the tree area to have a taper to it, and people often try to paint that tree trunk. The easy way to do it is simply start at the bottom by smushing that round brush in, and then pull away and twist, twist, twist. Just turn it in your fingers as you go. Now if you pull away from the paper and then keep going, doesn't matter. Just keep right on rolling with it. But you end up with a very natural feeling, very nice taper to the parts of the tree. Very hard to paint it, just jumping in with a brush. Now, once you get your water going on that area, what you want to do is introduce another color. And this is called a charging technique, which is the way that works is I'm going to take some cobalt blue here. The raw sienna is what I put down here first. But literally, charging technique means that we're simply going to put dots of paint into the still wet areas, and the paint will spread. It will only go where you have the water. So it'll chase that water around, and that's the effect we're looking for, because as it moves around in the areas where the water sits, it will blend with the base colors and anything else that you put in there. So you can bounce around and have lots of fun just throwing different colors in and see what shows up. We're not painting this, we're simply using charging techniques to find out where it goes. Then we just wait for a moment. Now we may want to put some more branches in. We're going to use exactly the same technique, but now we're just going to get some water only on the end of our same brush. We're just going to add some other little twigs and branches here. But again, we just use the very tip of the brush, just make it real light and airy. Just grab some paint that's already in there, just let it move around. Have some fun with that. We end up with a very unique looking piece every time, obviously, because we're not actually controlling this. We're just hanging on for dear life and see what happens. But it is always an exciting, interesting way to get started on putting a very colorful tree onto a watercolor card in this case. These Strathmore cards are fun to work with. It's 140-pound paper that we're working with here, made out of rags, as all of our watercolor paper is. So once we get our tree established and get some color in it, we may want to put some leaf patterns in these things. And that's what this toothbrush is here for. This little tool gives us the opportunity to jump in and have some color blasting around in there. The way to use that toothbrush is we can come in with a little bit of paint, yellow to start out with on this one. And I'm just going to take my other brush and I'm going to use that against the edge here. I'm going to pull the brush against the edge of the toothbrush, and that's going to spray some of the paint off of the end of the toothbrush, just like that. So that toothbrush technique, it's fun to put some texture and pattern in wherever we want. We can also, that'll give us some little dinky texture out there. Then we can turn right around and grab a little different color, like a little blue or something, and just keep going. That'll blend out there on the end. That's fun to do. In addition, you can take your regular brush and you can throw it into, let's use some blue in that one as well, and we can simply tap the top of our toothbrush. That'll make some bigger dots in doing that, and that You have to get the right amount of water and paint on there to get that effect to show up, but it's fun to do, and you can mix colors there as well, just very easily. Don't have to get too rambunctious with this, just a little bit of color on there will do the job, and a little bit of water, and it'll all blend. And once we get to that point, perhaps we'd like to see a little more definition. You can be very careful with this, and you can put some other leaf patterns in just by, again, just use the tip of the brush. You don't have to get into the heavy body of it. We're still activating some of that paint that we just put on. So it's those little bitty splatter dots and so forth will blend together and start to create some other little leaf shapes. So that's a fun, easy way to get a tree to pop out of a card. It has great color range running down through it because of that charging technique. And as we are running throughout, we'll pick up a little more paint, and you can do as much or as little as you want. Stop anytime you want to. But there's a great watercolor card with a fun new pattern on it. So give it a try and see what you think. Those watercolor cards do come with an envelope, and sometimes I will use these as part of the painting because, well, it's fun to put a little something on your envelope as well. Now, these are not made out of watercolor paper. These envelopes are just regular paper, so you don't get to have as much flexibility as you do when you're working with the watercolor card, but you still can throw a nice little tree pattern or something on here and see what shows up. And you can just pick off the corner here. Now, this is where the stamp goes, and this is your return address, and this is where the address goes, so you have to keep out of there. But if you want to put a little tree pattern in here, you certainly can, and it adds a real zip to your happy birthday message or happy Mother's Day or whatever else. Just pop some trees in there. They'll always look like you tried really, really hard to make something special. But once again, you can't spend a lot of time on this because that paper won't allow it. But a little bit jumps in and out, gives you some fun little patterns to just bounce around on. It's easy to do. So just try some of your little tree patterns here and there, and just go right out the side with it. And that gives you the kind of look of what it feels like to have a little envelope decorated up, ready to go. Just gets them excited about, what did they send me? What's inside? Well, here you go. You put your watercolor tree in there and your message, and just drives Hallmark crazy. There you go. Have fun with it. Thanks.